Thou theory that one postulated proveth to be correct, my good king. It is indeed over in the far off land. The Tron of Mega is using a device manifesting of stealth technology as thou doth postulated. Indeed.
Nice. I like the thou doth postulated.
Too much energy.
Good evening and welcome back to Too Much Energon, the weekly podcast where we review every episode of Beast Wars ever in production order, starting from the beginning. I am one of your hosts, Christopher Siege.
I am your other host, NeoCal.
And this week on Too Much Energon, we are reviewing the 14th episode in production order, which was also the 14th episode in US broadcast order. Don't see that too often.
A rarity for sure.
The episode is called Double Dinobot. It originally aired on November 5th, 1996. So the episode begins with the night sky over the Predacon ship. There's thunder and lightning. Pterosaur is flying around, squawking bloody murder for some reason. And
oh yeah, that what the heck?
yeah,
He's going nuts.
Yeah, he's just like continuously doing his like weird like crowing sound. And then Waspinator comes into frame and then the camera zooms down to the dark side and Megatron is being all like nucleate the thermal coils.
They say a bunch of science stuff that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and Scorponok is like nucleating. And we see some Tesla coils lighting up, and the lighting in here is really dim. It's very evocative of an old horror film.
It's very Frankenstein's monster. There's lightning and flashes of light coming from whatever they're doing. Scorponok says something like, "Oh, something's overloading," and Megatron's like, "Then let it, full force."
Yeah,
and I'm like, okay.
It made me laugh earlier when I was watching the episode because Megatron is like, increase chamber pressure or something like that, and Scorponok is like, the circuits, they're overloading, and Megatron's all like, let them activate the accelerator. Yes, full force.
Yeah, it's very mad science.
Yeah,
interesting that it's Scorponok that's helping him. Again, very recently have I just been introduced to the fact that Scorponok is a scientist, and apparently Scorponok and Megatron can clone.
Apparently. So they've got this weird science bullshit they're doing is pertaining to what looks like a modified Energon jacuzzi.
Yeah, it's like a tank.
Yeah. But this one has a lid on it, and we see like what looks to be something kind of like Dinobot, kind of flipping out and like twitching around and clipping about.
You can see it through the glass or whatever it is a little bit.
Yeah. And the lid comes off and the platform elevates and we see a perfect recreation of Dinobot in beast form.
That reminded me of Demolition Man a lot when they when they thaw out the prisoners.
Really?
Yeah, like the top comes off and they're like thawed and the steam kind of like goes out and I don't know, I just thought of Demolition Man. If anybody listening, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, admittedly, I haven't seen Demolition Man in about 20 years, so.
Damn it, we need to have a Demolition Man, like, online watch party.
That'll be our next podcast.
I would do, like a Demolition Man podcast.
Just do, like, commentary tracks for, like, random movies from the 90s.
Absolutely. And that's a great one to do it. Would people listen to that? Like movie commentary?
Yeah.
Or would it be copyright stricken because...
No. Lots of podcasts that I listen to, actually, they release commentary tracks for movies.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Today I learned.
And what we also learned is that Megatron was able to create a perfect clone of Dinobot.
Yeah, he says that.
Yeah. Apparently, all he needed was a speck of the traitor's DNA.
Okay, hold up. So,
Okay.
they have DNA. Like, he literally says all we needed was some of Dinobot's DNA.
Yeah.
So they have DNA, which means they have, like, a helix-like biological structure to them.
Yeah, presumably there is a organic compound to their beast forms.
I didn't know that. That's cool. And just on their beast forms, which is why he says that this one, like, I guess clones can't change into their robot form.
Yeah, he can't transform, but otherwise he is a perfect biological clone of Dinobot.
Huh. Interesting.
And so I already have questions.
Go on.
If you have this technology and this capability, one, why are you creating a clone of Dinobot? Why not a clone of, like, say, Optimus? Like, someone with actual power in the team. Like, create a clone of Optimus and send him into the Maximal base. Everyone are just going to listen to him.
That's a good point.
And also, why not just create a whole bunch of clones? Yeah, exactly. An army of clones.
And if they're too similar to their the original and you're worried about them being traitorous or whatever, just make an army of Scorponok clones.
Yeah, there you go.
Right? Don't make any more Megatrons, because Megatron's top dog and he's not going to share the spotlight with himself, even if he's a clone. But, like, a whole bunch of loyal Scorponoks. Just an army of fucking, like, giant scorpions.
Although, I gotta be honest, I would love... Like, I would totally watch an episode that was about a whole bunch of Megatrons just, like, at odds with one another. A bunch of Megatron clones just, like, bickering.
Yeah, not fighting, like, disagreeing and, like, having intellectual, like, social disagreements.
Yeah. Arguing about who should lead. Who has the better plans? Who is the more attractive?
Yeah. But I feel like we've done so much bickering for leadership on the show. I'm done with that. For, like, another 10 episodes. I'm done with that.
So outside the Maximal base and kind of down a cliffside, Dinobot's walking around, the actual Dinobot's walking around in beast form, complaining about being bored.
Yeah, this was the part I was thinking of. He's just walking around being bored.
Yeah, and he's talking about, oh, where's a Predacon when you need one? And then lo and behold, womp womp. Yep. A Predacon shows up right on cue. Pterosaur comes into frame, transforms, starts shooting at Dinobot. I guess we should also mention that before the last scene ended, Megatron sent...
Oh.
Yeah, I have thoughts about this too. So Megatron ordered Pterosaur to go and initiate what he calls phase 1 of his plan, which is to eliminate Dinobot. Why would you send Pterosaur to do this?
And why just Pterosaur?
What has Pterosaur accomplished at any point over the past 14 weeks that would tell you that he is capable of eliminating Dinobot on
by
his
himself?
Own?
Yes.
Yeah. It's a very questionable course of action on Megatron's part.
Why by himself too? Like, Dinobot has time and time and time again beaten one or more of the Predacons, like,
including Megatron himself.
Oh yeah, multiple times.
Yeah.
He's won one-on-one confrontations, one-on-two confrontations. Like, he is a war machine.
Yeah.
Especially if you're up close. He's going to smoke you. And I guess you could argue here. Go ahead, sorry.
I was just gonna quip. And if you're far away, he has eye lasers.
Yeah. And I guess you could argue, though, the only place he's weak is long distance. Presuming that the eye lasers lose, it wouldn't make sense, but lose some sort of, let's say they're not lasers, they're like plasma, like bolts or something. Presumably long distance, and because Pterosaur can fly, and Pterosaur can shoot like little photon cannons and lasers, maybe he can like lure him around or shoot at him from a distance. Because Pterosaur has like sneak attacked people before. Like, he's a decent marksman.
Yeah, he's gotten the drop on Optimus several times.
Several times, yeah. But that might be a weird like rock, paper, scissors. Do you know what I mean? Like, Rhinox always gets Waspinator. Pterosaur always gets Optimus. Dinobot gets everyone except Optimus. Everyone except Optimus. Oh no, he kind of got Optimus. And I don't understand why he just didn't send like everyone. So yeah, your I have questions is like me this whole episode. This whole episode forgets the rules that it made about Sentinel, the Maximal defense system.
Yeah.
It's anyways, yes, there are questions. Why would you just send Pterosaur?
And speaking of Sentinel, when we get there is a scene that cracked me up quite a bit. And I'm sure you know what it is.
I actually don't. I barely remember this episode.
Fair enough.
I watched it twice, including just before we started this. So I don't know why this one's a blank for me, man.
Speaking to the quality of this episode.
Yeah, normally I can like go over these things like with great detail, painful levels of detail, but I like you said, this is on the C list. That being said, we're not just here to complain. Let us talk about the joyful moments, like the laser and gun battle that ensues with Dinobot.
Yeah, so Pterosaur starts shooting at Dinobot, knocks him off his feet, and Dinobot's all like, "At last, an end to the boredom." And then he transforms. And I gotta say, like, Dinobot transforms a lot in this episode.
Yes.
And the animators, like, really they
took their time.
The camera direction, like, really focuses on Dinobot transforming a lot on this a lot in this episode, and I kind of appreciate it because I love Dinobot's transformation sequence.
Multiple times they kind of slow his transformation down and like zoom in on the different parts, like on his leg and his head, and I'm like, oh man, his transformation is cool.
Yeah,
his head spins around, and it is actually like it's very good for watching his transformation. I noticed that right away. Pterosaur dodges Dinobot's lasers like a motherfucker, though. Like, holy shit. He's like playfully. He's like doing the splits in the air. He's like, being like a matador. He does like a little dodge. It's painful how easily he can dodge these lasers, which is weird because I'm like, well, they're lasers. Like, shouldn't they just hit whatever he's looking at?
Also, where were these mad skills, bro, that Pterosaur seems to have now for the past 13 fucking episodes?
Yeah, other than when he was juicing, he's been mostly useless.
Yeah.
Unless he's like sniping Optimus.
Yeah. That is his one skill, is he can get the drop on Optimus like nobody's business.
Yes.
But nothing else. But apparently this week he's got like mad dodging skills.
He's been practicing dance class. Aerial dance class. Anyways, like any child would think it was obvious. He mocks Dinobot, transforms back into his beast mode, and flies into a cave.
Yeah, and he's all like, "You gotta catch me!" And Dinobot goes
Yeah.
back to beast form and gives chase, and it's like, really, dude?
So 10 seconds later, he transforms back into his robot form, and again, it zooms in on different parts of him, and it's just like literally he just transformed. It's just showing off his transformation this
Yeah.
episode, and it slows it down a bit. And this is the part where I'm like, oh, cool. Like
Yeah.
it does it again, but I'm like, wait a second, he was in his raptor form for like 10 seconds, literally this episode. He just ran and changed again, and I'm like, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Even
What a
though
weird
it's like,
design.
wouldn't he be able to run faster in his robot form? Like, I don't know.
I don't think so.
No?
I think he runs faster as a raptor.
Fair enough.
Didn't they run pretty quickly?
I don't.
I don't know.
It has been a long time since I've watched Jurassic Park, so
Apparently they're fast, but also apparently like they were like dog-sized velociraptors, right?
really?
Yeah, like the ones in the movie were technically not velociraptors. They were something else much bigger, or they were made bigger because they couldn't quite complete the velociraptor gene, so they kind of filled in the blanks. But yeah, apparently like they're about a medium to large dog. Like there's no way like they would, unless they were in a pack, really be able to attack or hurt like a human, unless they were like desperate, or unless they cut you across the belly and spill out your intestines.
As one does.
as clever girls do. But clever boys is not what a Dinobot is.
Yes. So Dinobot charges into this cave because reasons.
Honor.
And he's all like, where are you, my former comrade? We have so much to talk about.
Yeah, he's like, Pterosaur, come out to play, yay!
But I like Pterosaur's response here. He's like, I have nothing to say. Except goodbye.
Yeah. I have nothing to say except goodbye. And he flies out a hole in the ceiling of the cave. Like some sort of And he transforms onto the outside.
Yeah, as Dinobot is being an idiot and eye lasering the rock directly above him.
Above him. I expected him to shoot the rock and to cause the cave in.
Right? So did I.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh boy, this is the second time his eye lasers have caused a collapse. But no, that does not happen, even though it shows rubble falling a little bit. Pterosaur transforms outside the cave, shoulder cannons, shoots the entrance to the cave, and presumably traps Dinobot inside the cave. Even 10-year-old me was like, okay, hang on, like, this is clearly a trap.
Also, like, Dinobot's clearly gonna get out of that. Like,
yeah.
This is only a temporary measure here.
Like, yeah, he didn't shoot and cover Dinobot. He collapsed the entrance to the cave. And I like how he, just like everyone in the show, or mostly Predacons, immediately presumes that he must be dead because Pterosaur says, "Rust in peace, old comrade." I'm like, oh, rust in peace. I like that. Oh yeah, he does salute.
And so he radios Megatron and tells Megatron that you may proceed with Phase 2. And then Megatron decides to pet the clone Dinobot on the head in a shot that made me laugh earlier. I sent you a screenshot.
Yeah, gives him a little pet. Yeah. Like a little dog. So and then he talks, which is creepy.
Yeah, so he sends the clone of Dinobot on his way.
And then smirks like a motherfucker.
Yeah. And we cut to the Maximal base, and Optimus is working on some shit at the dinner table.
And it shows a sneaky Dinobot clone, like, going through the halls of the Axelon.
Yeah. And he shows up in the on the bridge in the living room.
Yeah.
In the living room.
And then he does some Shakespeare in the Park.
Yeah. It's when I was watching this earlier, I found it quite funny because it's like I'm like, man, this clone does not sound like Dinobot at all. Like, obviously it sounds like him in that it's the same voice actor, but like he doesn't talk the same way that Dinobot does. He doesn't say the kind of things that Dinobot does.
No, like Dinobot's not a bitch either.
Yeah.
So he comes in, and the TLDR is he's like, Optimus, they're mounting a full-scale assault. Yeah, you must go quick. And Optimus is like, hold up, let me scan that area.
There's nothing there. And Dinobot, the fake Dinobot is all like, but they're there, I tell you. I swears. I pinky swears.
I pinky swears. Right here in Omega Zone. And Rat Trap pops out of the dinner table. I didn't know he was even
in the
there
middle of right from the middle of the dinner table.
Yeah, probably would have scared Dino Clone. And yeah, there's a little thing that pops out, and he pops out as if he was like repairing the innards of it. Probably because they break their dinner table like all the time. And he taps some like hollow screen things. And he says, peaceful as in our chamber. Looks like old Choppa Face is seeing things.
Yeah. And fake Dinobot is all like, no, they're there, I tell you. I double pinky swears.
And Optimus is like, well, I guess they could be using some kind of stealth tech. I'll ask Rhinox and Cheetor to check it out.
Yeah. And then he orders the fake Dinobot and Rat Trap to go to their last known position and check it out. And the fake Dinobot's all like, no, you must go yourself.
Yeah,
there's no time.
This is when Optimus must be like, hold up. Because he's very animated with his hands, Dino Clone. He's like doing a fake like little run motion. He's like gesturing with his little raptor claws. And he's like, you must lead a counterattack.
And even in the way he's talking, like his inflection is very much in this like fake, like panicked manner, which is not how Dinobot ever speaks.
And I thought Optimus was onto him because his eyes are narrowed. And he's like, well, Sentinel can handle them if they attack the base. And there's no reason to go out and fight them. You can avoid it.
Yeah.
So already I feel like Optimus is like, hold up, this is weird. Also, since when would Dinobot like run away?
Right.
The only time would be to alert Optimus of something. So fair enough, I guess.
But even then, though, he would be like, he would be like, oh, now I must go back. And he wouldn't even go back to the base. Like, he would leave to get within comms distance. And then
radio in.
And radio in, and then immediately run right back into the battle.
Good point. This one can't radio in. Yeah.
Oh,
so Dinobot would radio in from like a kilometer or however far their comms go. Not come directly to the base. That's a good point. There's another hole in this episode, which there are
many.
There's many. And Optimus is like, well, go on. And he kicks Rat Trap and Dinobot to go investigate the so-called Predacon ambush or Predacon assault.
Yeah.
But his eyes are narrowed and he's like, So I think Optimus is like, he smells bullshit somewhere. Or maybe that's me having hopeful thinking.
Yeah, his not to jump ahead too much, but that's kind of the impression that I got too, although his suspicions don't really pay off.
No, because like it's a cartoon and we have to like play up the hijinks, right?
Yeah.
So it shows Rat Trap and Dino Clone out in like the wastes. It's kind of like rocky, the trees are dead. Presumably somewhere in between the two bases, right?
Yeah. Some random area that we've never seen before.
I know, I like it.
Yeah.
Rat Trap goes, Maximize, and he transforms, and
yet another episode where Rat Trap says Rat Trap Maximize.
Yeah. And Dino Clone kind of like puts his hands up in like defense and kind of turns his head as if he's almost like envious of Rat Trap being able to transform.
Yeah.
I am but half a man. And immediately Rat Trap's like, well, what are you waiting for, micro brain?
Yeah, and then
Dino chump.
And then Dino Clone is all like, well, Optimus said to observe but not engage, which is the mall cop philosophy.
Observe and call the police.
Yeah.
And yeah, Rat Trap says, settle into the metal already. Now, here's what should tip Rat Trap off that this isn't Dinobot. Since when does Dinobot not want to fight?
Right?
Yeah, I just noticed that.
Yeah. But yeah, so he's like, Optimus told us to observe and report. We can do that better in beast mode.
Uh-huh. Sure.
Yeah. So Rat Trap's just
like, I guess so, and he transforms back into a rat.
Yeah, after literally scratching his head at Dinobot's logic here.
So there's a canyon full of lava.
Yeah, there's a big they come to a cliff edge and there's a big chasm, and at the bottom is just lava everywhere, and there's this tiny little log going from one side to the other, and Dino Clone's like, yeah, seems legit. Dino Clone's all like, you take point.
You first, comrade. And Rat Trap's like, okay.
Yeah, starts walking forward, and then Dino Clone just starts like kicking the log off, and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing?"
Log. Yeah.
He's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And Dino Clone's just like, "I should think it would be obvious,
even to a vermin, an omnivorous pestilence like you." And he kicks the log off with Rat Trap on it, and he just falls into the lava lake, which we find out is a lava river.
Well, the log actually stops about halfway down, but then starts to catch fire.
Oh, does it catch fire?
Yeah. It's actually pretty good fire effects, too, honestly, especially for the time.
All of their fire effects that we've seen on the show have been surprisingly good.
Yeah.
Actually. It catches fire as it's falling. You're right. Now, that's really accurate because it would heat up enough that things would start to combust, even if it doesn't touch the lava, right? Because it's molten hot rock.
Yeah, exactly.
It kind of like hits. Doesn't it get wedged in the canyon?
It does, yeah.
Yeah. It gets like wedged in the canyon, and it's on fire. And does he fall or does he jump off? I think he falls, and then we cut to. We follow him. Yeah.
The fire ends up burning.
The log apart.
Away. Yeah, burning it apart. So like it just breaks into a bunch of pieces.
He's like, not again. And he falls and comically lands on a floating rock that's in the lava. And now we find out.
Yeah, he lands in a manner that I'm like, oof that really should have broken his neck.
On his chest, with his like body and legs falling like over his head.
Yeah.
Like you see someone land in that and like wrestling, and you're like, ooh. As somebody who's owned a trampoline and has done that, if you're not 12 and under, you're gonna have a bad time. But when you're like a kid, you're like made out of rubber. I've landed just like Rat Trap has, and have had somebody land on top of me when I've been like that, and I just bounce back. My bones were made out of rubber, apparently. I feel like they missed an opportunity to have another Rat Trap surf montage.
Right?
Because he's on this like rock going down what is now, we find out, a lava river with floating rocks.
A rava of liver.
A rava of liver. Do you remember a few episodes ago when Rat Trap pretended to be a traitor? And I talked about how like lava, or it was like when there was a bomb or something like that. No, it was the one. Yeah, it was the one where Cheetor was bouncing back and forth, the teleporting one.
Oh, that was a while ago.
And you mentioned, they should throw the bomb like into the lava, and I was like, well, it would kind of just like float and like light on fire.
Yeah.
That's coming back here because there are rocks floating on the lava, which could technically happen if the rocks were like porous, if they were full of like air pockets or what is it called, pumice or something like that. So I was like, oh, that could technically happen.
Bringing it back.
Yeah. I don't know if I need to explain like pumice, but pumice is like very light, like kind of like dusty volcanic rock.
Oh, okay.
And some of it actually floats because it's so porous,
on
water.
I studied geology briefly for like one semester in university, and I failed the class.
Oh, that was the only classes in university that I got all A's in. My geology classes. Pat myself on the back for nothing.
Yeah, it's a fascinating subject. I just I was interested in it, but I was not good at it. My favorite thing that I learned studying geology, though, was that the breaking point between two rocks is called cleavage.
Did you like that?
Yeah, I've been making jokes about it for the past like 10 plus years. So
nice.
that's what my the money that I put into that class got me, was like over a decade of cleavage jokes.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, so technically rocks could float temporarily, or appear to float. It depends on like density. Like eventually that rock is just going to lava, presumably.
Yeah.
Or it would slowly sink in. But it's funny because he has his little, it's not here yet, but as he's like traveling around, it's kind of like tilting and the lava is acting like a liquid, which I was like, hold up. But I ain't no geologist. I'm just a Beast Wars expert. Yes, definitely.
You are just a legitimate journalism.
Yeah.
Which is how we roll here on
making my way one episode at a time.
Speaking of rocks, so we're back in the mountain that Dinobot got buried in.
Oh yeah.
We see this pile of rubble. All of a sudden, Dinobot's drill rapier comes protruding out of the top of it.
And it sure does.
And then Dinobot gloriously just like punches his way out. Like he
it
stabs
is glorious.
It's pretty glorious. Yeah, it's a great shot. I've said before that I love seeing Dinobot just like rage, like completely like rage monster in any situation, and that's what he does to get himself out of this, and I love it.
Yeah. And so that's showing the audience, oh hey, he's not dead, because we totally thought he was dead. He's free.
Yeah.
I guess he had been buried by some rubble, but not enough to get him.
Nope. So we're back at the Axelon, and Optimus is talking to Cheetor and Rattrap over the comms, who basically tell him that there's nothing going on at the place that Dino Clone said there was shit going down at.
Yeah, and they say there's no sign of Rattrap or Dinobot.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden the Dino Clone shows back up on the bridge of the Axelon, and he is once again doing Shakespeare in the park, pretending to be badly wounded in a hilariously overacted manner.
This is so bad.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, Optimus can look at him and tell that he's not injured.
Yeah.
But he's like crawling on the ground and he's like, "Oh, woe is me, Optimus, for I have been accosted by the Predacons."
I was really waiting for him to tilt his head to the side and put his little the back of his little raptor hand onto his forehead.
Right.
and being like, "Oh, damn these eyes."
I barely. So here's another thing. So one, there's no visible damage on Dino Clone here. So Optimus should at this point be like, well, where are you hurt, boy? Show me. And also
show me on the Raptor where they hurt you.
Yeah. And Dinobot wouldn't run away and leave Rattrap behind. So again, there's been 4, 5 inconsistencies now.
There's a lot of red flags with this motherfucker's behavior.
Yeah, and Optimus is like, and Dino Clone is like, wherefore art thou, Rattrap? You must go and saveth him, Optimus. for he hath been trapped. Thine own weapons were not enough to save him. Thou must saveth him yourself. And Optimus is like, okay, let me help you into the helipod. Thine enemy machinations have overcometh thou. Beseech thee, O great king,
oh man,
to take no quarrel with my incompetence, for thou art of a superior nature to thine filthy.
Oh,
I don't. Okay, I'm done. Thou art a credible leader. Hath I ever seen one? Saweth with thine own eyes.
Tales spread across this great land of thou's many strengths and triumphs, and it were so said of thine grand declarations, upon which I don't know.
Oh, you're doing good. The pauses were coming more and more, so I knew you were running out of fancy words.
Yeah.
Well, let's go now, Optimus. For time runs out. And Optimus is like,
for time is but a loose stitch in the fabric of mankind's dwelling. What were he say if? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but as painful as that might be, that's pretty much how Dino Clone sounds right now.
Yeah, basically.
And Optimus is just staring at him, and I'm like, there's no way he buys this. Like, he's already seemed like kind of like suspicious.
Yeah, I actually paused it on a random bit, the episode here, and Optimus straight up has his eyebrow raised at him.
Yeah, and he like points a finger and he's like, okay, I'll put Sentinel on auto mode, and I'm gonna get you into the R chamber.
Yeah, and
then when you come back online, you take over the scanners and stuff. And Dino Clone is like, thou art running out of time, good sir. Fear not, for I can helpeth myself. Go! I bid thee farewell.
I bid thee farewell, and good tidings, and safe journeys on thine quest across the land into foreign territory.
May your enemies... I don't know. May thou strike fear in thine enemies' hearts as you do strike joy in your followers' loins. What are you trying? What are you trying to say, Dinobot?
Wait, what?
Have you been working out?
Oh God.
and Optimus is like, seems legit. Bye.
Oh man!
If anybody listening is not watched the episode, please go and watch the episode. And we're barely exaggerating.
I should start a new little series of bonus episodes on the podcast feed, just called Shakespeare in the Park.
Or all the times where we mock how bad some of the show's for kids, so it hams up when characters are pretending or lying or acting. But yeah, it's so funny watching it as an adult.
Yeah, they make it laughably obvious.
Because they want kids to go, wait a second, he's lying, right?
Yeah, that's not Dinobot.
Yeah.
That's the clone.
Yeah. So even though it spells it out for you, it still makes the clone like way over the top, and Optimus is like, okay, bye. And Dinoclone literally gives him a raptor thumbs up. And he says, good luck on thine quest, oh glorious leader. That part does actually happen. He does give him a thumbs up.
Yeah.
And then as soon as he's out of he's like out of sight.
Yeah,
by the way, he's still in the elevator. Like presumably like he's only like 8 feet away. He's like, thou art a silly fool.
Yeah, and then he gets out a flute and starts playing it, and then like tap dances out of frame.
Gets out a penny flute.
Wearing like a little Robin Hood hat.
Oh, a little Robin Hood hat.
I know my next Photoshop project. So yeah, outside the Axelon, Optimus runs away from the ship and then super apes out of frame.
Yeah, he flies off with his prime jets, and Dinoclone is like, what a fop doodle. Fop doodle is what did you in, huh?
What the fuck is a fop doodle?
So I don't know if I've ever mentioned this to you. I don't think I'm good at it, right? But the reason I was so quick to do ye old English there, bad old English, but the reason I was so fluid with it was because when I was younger in high school, I liked to do a lot of like Shakespeare plays whenever the school would put it on. Yeah, so I've been in Romeo and Juliet, non-Shakespeare plays. I've been in like Death of a Salesman, yada yada yada.
Actually, that doesn't really surprise me now that I think of it.
Oh yeah, well thanks. And for some reason,
I don't mean that in a bad way.
Well, yeah, that's why I said thanks. And one of them, I can't remember what it was. It was something Shakespeare. I don't know why, but I've clung on to this one word for decades. Fop doodle. And it just means like a dumb old man, or like a peasant, like somebody like insignificant, like a cur or a serf or something, right? So like a peasant begging for coin, or a peasant shoveling shit or something like that is a fop doodle.
So the top definition on Urban Dictionary is...
Oh, you looked it up?
I did, yeah. Fop doodle. An old-timey swear word that means insignificant, foolish, or a stupid person.
Okay.
Yeah. Wow. That is the top definition based on 90 votes.
Wow. Go fop doodle.
Well, no, I mean that's all. Like most
that's
like
not
top
a lot, yeah.
No, like for most words on Urban Dictionary, like the top definition has like hundreds upon hundreds of votes.
I think not too many people are looking up fop doodle. I've got more for you that'll spring on you throughout the episode.
I look forward to it.
By the way, for anyone listening, we're halfway through the episode, and trust me, we're making it more interesting than it is.
The word of the episode is fop doodle.
Yes, I'm looking forward to like shitty MS Paint like Photoshop of a Robin Hood hat on Dinobot.
I definitely am going to do that.
Oh god. What's happening? Optimus had activated Sentinel before he left, though, right?
Yeah. And Dinoclone is all like, now, what was it Megatron said to do?
Yeah.
So, like, he doesn't even really know what he's doing. Like,
No. They have no intel on this.
Yeah. And so he goes over to the dinner table, and Sentinel...
Sidebar before, like, there is an old-timey thing he actually says here. As Sentinel boots up and Dinoclone is inside the ship, he goes, "Ooh, Optimus shall rue the day." Like, he actually does say, Optimus will rue the day he left this clone alone. Which is why I've been doing old English impressions.
I forgot about that.
And I'm like, okay. And then he's like, yeah, on to what you said. He's like, what did Megatron say to do again? And he feebly slams at the dinner table. And this is where I've got a lot of problems.
And
Sentinel
so
pops up.
Sentinel pops up and is all like Maximal activation code, and Dinoclone's like, wait, Megatron said nothing about this. Well, I'm sure I can figure it out. So he starts just like pushing buttons.
Yeah, like slamming buttons with his little raptor claws, one finger on each hand.
And he's all like, there,
Christopher types.
There, that should do it. And he goes to press, like, presumably the enter button, and then the panel fucking electrocutes him.
Oh, yeah, what the heck?
And he's all like, ah. This is the bit I was talking about earlier that cracked me up.
when he gets shocked multiple times?
Multiple times, yeah. Like, this bit made me laugh earlier.
Yeah, Sentinel pops up after it gives him a mild but effective shock on his arm. And Sentinel pops up and he's like, what does he do? He's like scanning user?
Yeah, he's all like, code incorrect, scanning user Dinobot, in beast form.
Yes, identified as Dinobot in his beast mode. And then Dinoclone's like, yes, that's me. I'm Dinobot. And
yes, here I am.
Hear ye. Dinobot entereth the dining hall. I ordereth thou to deactivate. And Sentinel's like, maximal energy signature not present. Now,
which I found interesting, but it kind of makes sense because, like, this is seemingly a purely organic clone of Dinobot. Like, this is straight up just a 100% organic Velociraptor with kind of sort of the brain of Dinobot, but not really.
Yeah,
because he's way stupider.
Personality-ish, he is.
Yeah.
And now here's the thing. They have programmed Sentinel to... It used to be that it would just open fire on everyone, right? Because they never programmed the friend or foe thing yet. And remember that episode where it turned on them? Because Rat Trap and Dinobot were fighting and they activated Sentinel. And Rhinox is like, you idiots, that was the next part of programming Sentinel. So presumably they fixed that there. That's why it's like, please enter deactivation code. And it's like scanning, no maximal signature found. Well,
that was like a month ago.
Well, exactly. Which means when it doesn't detect that this Dinobot is a Maximal, it should open fire on him.
Mm.
See what I mean about
Good
I've got
point,
many 99 problems and this episode is like 90 of them. Cause so it says
I got 99 problems, but a maximal energy signature ain't one.
That Sentinel right now, he's like, hold up. You look like Dinobot, you smell like Dinobot, but I can tell you ain't Dinobot. And I don't know why he's New York all of a sudden. And he's like, now I don't detect a maximal signature, but you I.
But
and I'm like, then shoot him.
If it walks like a raptor and it quacks like a raptor, then it's probably a raptor.
So it detects that there's no maximal signature around.
Yeah.
But that it looks like Dinobot. So it's like, well, tell you what, I'm gonna lock everything down, but you're okay. And so Dinoclone starts slamming keys again, and this time it shocks him way more. Like right into the head. His whole body's like electrocuted and he falls to the ground like in pain, and it's actually quite humorous.
Yeah. It shoots this big like bolt of electricity right at his like raptor snout.
Yeah. and he screams in pain, flies back like 10 feet onto the ground.
And he's all like,
Megatron said this would be easy. And then he like kind of like twitches and passes out.
So we cut away to back where Dino Clone tried to kill Rat Trap. Cheetor walks up to the cliffside of the chasm, and then Super Ape flies into frame and then transforms.
Yeah, he meets up with Cheetor. He's like, any sign of Rat Trap?
Yeah, and Cheetor is like, well, his scent ends here. You don't think he... And Optimus is basically just like, well, let's hope not. Let's keep searching. But then we cut to the bottom of the chasm in the river of lava, and now Rat Trap is surfing. Straight up just surfing on this rock that he...
One would think he would be on all fours, since, by the way, he's surfing badly. Like, it's not like other times he's surfed. He's barely, like, keeping his balance. And I'm like, dude, you have 4 limbs. Like, if I was on that floating lava rock, I would be on all fours. Because I'm not falling. But he's barely surfing, except this time he's not having fun, and there's not 60s surf music playing. He looks very worried, and he pulls some sweet like tilting moves, and like turns the rock up on its side, and like dodges like another rock, which for some reason isn't molten, so it must have just fallen in the lava river.
Yeah,
and it's not moving either. And he goes down like these little mini lava waterfalls. Somehow still stays on the floating rock. And comes to so many geologist problems in this episode. Comes to a lava fall. And then like a platformer moment from like a Nintendo 64 video game where he's like jumping from rock to rock up the lava fall happens, and I'm like,
yeah, he transforms into robot form and then just starts like straight up like leaping and parkouring up a bunch of rocks.
Luckily, there are multiple rocks falling down the waterfall for him to jump up on.
Yeah.
And so he manages to get out.
Yeah,
like he reaches a cliff.
Yeah, he jumps up to this little like bit of rock protruding out of the side of the mountain or whatever this is.
The canyon. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have I know this show doesn't like physics. I have such problems with what he does here.
This was stupid.
I complain needlessly. I've come to terms with that, but I'm sorry, man. Like, this is not how physics works. So he's on. Go ahead, please.
On this piece of stone that's protruding out, this like stone platform that he's standing on, there is a big ass boulder on it. And he's all like, hoo-hoo! And he pulls out a little detonation charge out of his like little forearm compartment.
Yeah, he's got like those little bombs he has. Those little charges.
Yeah, so he pulls one of those out and puts it underneath of this boulder and climbs onto the top of the boulder, and the bomb goes off and launches him and the boulder straight up into the air.
Yes.
In which he then leaps off of this now flying boulder.
It's flying. It's enough force that it sends this boulder up into the air, leaves the dinky little cliffside that the boulder was on completely intact, and he rides the boulder like a rocket as it flies straight up into the air.
Yeah.
And then it goes high enough, like Christopher said, out of the canyon that he can jump off and escape.
Yep.
Sure, why not?
No, nothing about that is how physics works. Nothing at all.
No. Won't even get into the force needed to make that airborne would like destroy him, and keep it fully intact as if there's rockets underneath it. Sure. It's fun though. It's fun, I guess.
It's very cartoony.
It's very cartoony. I would have thought that would send him. Well, here's the thing. What if it didn't? What if it shot him straight up into the air like intended, but not out of the canyon, just into the middle of the lava river? Huh? How about that? But no,
or instead of shooting him straight up into the air, it
he'd
blew
fall
him
down
outward.
Or outward into the canyon,
which is probably, like, realistically, is probably what is more likely would have happened, is he would have been blown outward. Just sailing into the air, like, almost horizontally.
I'm not like a demolitions expert, but what I think would have happened, if you go and you look at the cliff that he landed on, it seems to be smaller than the boulder that he rocket manned out on. So what would probably have been the case is, if anything were to break, it would have been the little outcropping, the little cliff edge that he was on first.
Yep.
And then, in which case, he would have just went outwards or fallen.
Yeah.
But no, Rocket Man.
Rocket rap. Rocket rap.
The rocket rap.
Rocket rap.
Hey, everybody, listen up. I got a rocket rap, and I'm here to say, Rat Trap's flying out of here, and he's okay. I don't know.
which, I mean, to be fair, that does sound like something out of the 90s.
Yeah, that's what I was going for.
Especially the early 90s, like 1992.
And like a hip dude in his like early 20s like comes up with a backwards baseball cap and like baggy pants. Yeah, so being the ragabrash that Rat Trap is, he meets up with Optimus and Cheetor. Coincidentally, he happens to rocket right next to them. And yes, I said ragabrash.
I'm more impressed that you're able to roll your R's, because it's something that I just can't do. I cannot roll my R's at all.
Yeah, I wonder why. I've always been able to. So we're at the Axelon. A raptor is walking towards the Axelon, and he says, "Sentinel, stand down." So presumably, and then the green shield disappears. Presumably, this is actually Dinobot.
Yeah.
And this is confirmed because we cut back into the Axelon, and Raptor clone, Dino clone, is hiding like underneath the dining room table, the center console, with a claw, like reaching up, randomly pressing buttons.
Shaking as he does it.
Shaking, presumably to avoid Sentinel shocking him repeatedly.
Yeah.
So it's just his little claw hand that gets shocked rather than his whole body. And like, man, he is so dumb. Dino clone is so dumb.
Right?
It goes defense grid offline. And Dino clone stands up and he goes, "Yes, I have done it! The impossible!"
Yeah, I love his excitement here. He's like, "Yes, I've done it!"
And he like laughs maniacally. And I'm like, dude, you think you did that by randomly pressing buttons? Okay.
He does.
I'm surprised there wasn't a like Sentinel doesn't have a limit of 5 times reached. Like Sentinel activating and like
like it's like, oh, you have inputted the incorrect password 5 times. Your account is now locked for the next 24 hours.
Yeah, I'm surprised it didn't do something like that. So I could just picture Sentinel going like, "Error, incorrect, error, incorrect, password detected, incorrect password," and he's just sitting there like, just tapping random buttons. Anyways, yeah, he goes, "Clone 1 to Megatron. Phase 3 complete." And Megatron's like outside, and he's like, "And the Maximals?" And I don't know what he says.
He says, "Off on a wild vermin chase."
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah.
The base is yours for the taking.
And Megatron's all like, "I'll be there shortly. Cheers, Megatron out." And so Dino Clone...
Start dinner.
Yeah. Have my slippers waiting for me.
Warm them up for me. And then some corny 90s shit happens where the real Dinobot walks into the Axelon. Again, he enters the Axel.
Have a gin and tonic waiting for me at the bar. Cheers. All right. Yeah, anyway.
Finest cigars. And then some 90s shit happens.
I've already had my smoking jacket delivered.
What's it called? Pick up my smoking jacket from the dry cleaners. So some 90s shit happens where...
Yeah.
And okay, so Dinobot presumably enters the ship, but again, he doesn't enter the ship from the elevator.
Right?
He comes through the hallways.
I knew exactly where you were going with that.
He comes through the hallways, and this mysterious, like anterior, like entrance, somewhere in like the other side of the ship. But he was approaching from the front of the ship when we saw him outside.
Yep.
And keep in mind, the ship is going over a canyon. Everybody.
Yep. As with every other fucking time this has happened, which is like half the time anyone enters the goddamn base.
So he enters the base through an exit we have never ever seen. And Dino Clone like turns down the hallway and they both bump into each other at the exact same moment, like almost bump into each other. And then this is a very 90s thing. Anybody that's like 30 plus knows exactly what I'm talking about, where there's a double of somebody and then they think they're looking in a mirror and they try like psyching it out. Do you know what I mean? By like winking or like turning their head or like jumping or something.
I feel like literally every cartoon in the 90s did this at some point. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if eventually we see this in Reboot, which we are watching on our other podcast, Alphanumeric, where we review every episode of Reboot in order, starting from the beginning, just like we do with this show.
Yes, and this has not happened in Reboot yet, but
I'm sure it's coming
until it does. I don't remember Reboot that well, but I'm sure it's coming. So he's putting up his hands, he's sticking his tongue out, he's waving his head back and forth, and then the Dino Clone, like just flat out, it's actually quite scary. He flat out like opens his mouth wider than I've ever seen any entity on the entire show open its mouth. He dislocates his jaw.
Yeah.
And he lunges forward and tries to bite Dinobot's face.
Yeah.
That's quite horrifying. And Dinobot pulls his face back and he goes, "What sorcery art thou?"
He's like, "What in the inferno are you?"
Yeah. And go ahead.
And Dino Clone is all like, "I am what thou may have been had thou been loyal to our almighty king Megatron of Cyberguard."
Megatron of Cyberguard. Yes.
Yes.
How do you like it? I'm trying it out.
So Dinobot is just all like, "Yeah, fuck you," transforms.
Yeah. This is great. He transforms.
This is a great Dinobot transformation sequence.
It is top. He gets headbutted by Dino Clone.
Yeah.
And he flies back into the hallway and he goes, maximize. And like Christopher was saying, this transformation in particular, it's nice and slow and it's great. You get to see all of his parts moving and like the little bone armor things go around his legs.
Yeah. Yeah, we get to see like all of the little details of his transformation. Like it's fucking dope. Like I've always, from like episode 1, like I've always loved Dinobot's transformation sequence, and this episode is just really showing it off.
Yeah, this is cool.
Yeah.
And that's, if you haven't noticed before, which viewers probably have, that he has definitely the coolest transformation out of any of the Predacons and Maximals. And so they're showing it off. And boy, do they.
Yeah.
Oh, they do.
So Dinobot.
And yeah, he, like, with his whirly tail, his copter tail, and his drill rapier, he, like, slowly approaches Dino Clone, who, like, cowers, and he's like, oh no, whatever shall I do? Where art thou, Megatron? And Dinobot goes, well, transform, bitch. And he goes, I have been built without a heart. And he goes, oh, that's right, you're just a clone. Well, what does he say?
Raptor! What is a raptor without circuitry? What is circuitry without a raptor and its exterior? What is a Predacon without a Maximal? What is a clone without the original? All of this and more will not be answered in this episode of Too Much Energon.
All of that and more won't be answered. And Dinobot is like, you're creepy and talk weird.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, what is it? What does he say? It's beneath me.
Yeah, he's basically like, oh, yeah, you're nothing but a clone. Well, far be it from me to kill a weaker opponent. So basically, he doesn't want to have an unfair advantage, which completely unravels our whole fantasy we had last episode of, like, Dinobot taking on polar bears and sharks and eye lasering them.
Well, they force him to transform. Like, he knows it's wrong, but, like, he's like, oh, I have to transform for this one.
True, and, like, to be fair, in the Lone Raptorbot Chronicles, like, who knows where his morality will lie after being on this planet alone for, like, 10 years.
Yeah, 10 years. Yeah, he's probably like, a worthy foe, a chance to transform.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Dinobot's like, well, far be it from me to fight an inferior foe, and he transfers to his raptor form, and Raptor Clone, like, clasps his hands in glee and goes, ha, have at thee! And he bitch slaps him with his tail, sending him flying across the room into the R, like, chamber.
No, I think it's
into it.
No, I think it's one of the elevator platforms.
Yeah, it's the elevator platform.
But it has, like, a glass, like, door shield thing
for some reason. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, fortunately, I don't have thou stupid sense of honor. Yeah, so this one clearly is an inferior Dinobot.
In every conceivable way.
In every single way. And you'd think Dinobot would go, I can still transform, you retard, like, you idiot. and he reaches. No, what does he do? He, like, charges. Okay, so the TLDR is they fight and they throw things at each other in this room.
They use their tails to, like, throw chairs at one another.
Like, literally, as if they're prehensile, which, by the way, it's never shown them having Dinobot having a prehensile tail before. Maybe it's just Dino Clone. And again, they both jump on the dinner table. They probably break that again too. They break the bridge.
Yeah.
There's like a tiger uppercut going on here, and they put up their fisticuffs, and Dinobot gets, like, in a submarine, what's it called? Like a port. I can't remember. But, like, when they look into, like, that little, like, thing that comes down from the ceiling.
Oh, a periscope.
Dino Clone slams a random button, and a periscope thing comes from the ceiling of the bridge, slams into Dinobot's
Yeah,
head,
just bonks him right on the head, knocks him down.
knocks him out, and Dino Clone is like, "Ha ha! Have at thee, worthy foe! Megatron shall pet my head once more."
Yeah.
And here's the thing: I'm watching this, and my partner's like, because Dino Clone says Megatron will reward me for this, and I'm like, with what? Why does everybody keep saying this? Megatron will reward me. What is
Right,
it like? Is there like a PlayStation on board, and like he rewards you with like minutes of game time?
Yeah, like I've brought this up on previous episodes of the
You
podcast.
have.
Like what the like fuck is like Megatron giving them candies or like something?
You have 10 minutes uninterrupted with my dinosaur head hand. Yes. Wait,
Do your worst. Cheers.
Does that count as a hand job or a blow job? Whichever you desire. I will not be making eye contact. I'll be reading this book. Do not talk to me while you're doing it.
My T-Rex head hand, however, his eyes will be making eye contact, if you so desire. Cheers.
The whole time.
Oh, man.
You are not permitted to make any sounds, but my raptor head can.
Oh, good lord. So, we're out...
Before Lady Arachnia, there were no chicks on the ship.
So we're outside.
That got weird. So we're outside. Yeah.
We're outside of the Axelon, and Megatron is all like, "Yes, it almost seems too easy," because Dino Clone radios him and is all like, "The base is yours, Daddy."
Oh yeah, that's right, because he thinks he took care of Dinobot.
Yeah.
So a raptor comes down the.
Yeah, so Megatron like gleefully charges toward the base, like throwing his like little T-Rex hands up.
Oh yeah, because he sees that the shields come down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the elevator platform comes down, and there's the Dino Clone being all like, "Megatron, where are the others?" And Megatron's all like, "Oh, off doing a thing, preparing for an ambush or whatever." Then when they come back, I'll finish them with their own defense grid.
I like that moment because that's implying that he knows his Predacons won't be able to successfully win the ambush.
He's like, well, they're not going to succeed, but when they come back here, I'll finish them off.
Yeah, but like, presumably he'll be able to rewrite the defense grid somehow.
Yeah.
Or turn off the friend or foe recognition.
And Dino Clone is all like, "Ooh, your brilliance is an inspiration to me." And Megatron's like, "Oh, you are a delightful creature. I just may clone the rest of my troops. Yeah. Cheers."
You are such an enchanting creature.
Oh yeah, there we go.
I just said to my partner yesterday that I was like, man, enchanting is like such like an old person word, and I would like to try to bring that back, like into common like common parlance. Enchanting is much better than saying like beautiful or like charismatic. Enchanting. I liked it. We heard an old person say enchanting on like a movie or something, and I'm like, man, I got to bring that word back in normal conversation.
To be fair, that does sound like something a hipster would do, though.
Well, I do live in Victoria,
right? So we're in the perfect place.
But I have not made my own shoes, so so I am not yet a full member of the hipster community. Was it making your own hat or shoes or clothes? Something like that. Making your own shoes is definitely like up there, though.
Making your own
making your own shoes.
Oversized, like crochet toques. I don't know.
Oh, I think that's very low on the hipster thing, because a lot of people I know, like what's it called? Quilt, or yeah. But like shoes, that's a whole
even my partner
other
does,
level.
so.
Yeah, but shoes, like that's a project right there. And that's the thing. I wish I didn't. Man, if you ever, if you ever want to see the horrifying, expensive, and gatekeeping world of male fashion, go visit the subreddit.
I think I'm good.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. And speaking of taking someone's word for it, Megatron's like, well, time to go and make myself at home.
Yeah, so he transforms and starts walking toward the the Maximal ship. He walks off frame, and then Dino Clone is all like, Sentinel.
Exterior shield, Sentinel.
Yeah.
And on screen we hear, ah!
that I was watching this episode on my phone at work, like through earbuds, sitting in the break room at my workplace, and like I laughed out loud at that moment.
This is for the viewers, this is funnier than showing us on screen, because it's clearly revealed to the viewer that this is Dinobot.
This is actually the real Dinobot.
Yeah, and so he's like, Sentinel, like, activate exterior shields, and then he just kind of looks and grins off camera, but the camera stays on Dinobot, and you just hear like an energy thing, and then like an electricity sound, and you hear Megatron go, ah! And there's a huge green like explosion kind of like thingy, and he looks over his head, Dinobot, and it shows Megatron flying through the air, like quite a distance. Apparently this shield does not fuck around and can eject people.
Yeah.
And he slams into the ground and slides across it, and his face lands in what is presumably dung or mud.
It does kind of look like shit, honestly, but I think it's just mud.
Yeah,
I think it's supposed to be
it's in
mud.
clumps.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Megatron kind of like shakes the clumps of mud off his face, and he's like, you ungrateful clone. And then he says something like, I should have known you'd be as treacherous as the real Dinobot.
And then Dino Clone, quote unquote Dino Clone, is like, correction, I am the real Dinobot. And then he transforms.
Yeah, again, like the 7th time he transforms in this.
Yeah.
And we get another, man, I love Megatron and Dinobot face-offs. I don't know why they're like the best fights in the Optimus v Megatron was pretty good at the Rhinobot episode.
Yeah.
That was pretty damn good.
Although I will say, what they do here is they do that thing where they...
Hey, don't you diss Dragon Ball Z energy battles. Go ahead.
It is a thing that has been done many a times over.
Yeah.
To the extent that anytime I see it at this point in my life, I'm like, ugh.
This is one of the earlier... no, not really. But to get to what Christopher is talking about, Megatron goes, he was such a loyal fellow. Shame that he had to go. Unlike you! And he shoots his T-Rex hand laser at Dinobot, and Dinobot responds by shooting his green eye lasers. And
they have this like energy duel.
Energy beam duel.
Yeah,
with green and purple.
Who has the more powerful laser? And it's been done so fucking much. So I'm just like,
at this point in 1994, was it overdone?
96.
No, sorry, 96. Yeah, that was a thing by then.
Oh yeah.
I love it in everything. This is really cool because the beam goes back and forth, and Megatron is getting pushed back, and he digs his left hand, which is like his tail spike, like a sword kind of thing.
Yeah, he drives it into the ground to brace himself. Yeah, that I thought was pretty dope.
That was cool. And another dope part now to brace himself because he's getting pushed back. So presumably Dinobot's lasers are kind of like stronger, or at least they have more force because they're pushing Megatron back. It zooms in on Dinobot's face, and you know how he had little vents on the side of his head, almost like ears?
Yeah.
They're smoking. Like as if he's like spending like a lot of energy, or he's shooting his lasers too long.
Yeah, he's overheating.
He's overheating. That's cool. That's like, I'm like, oh,
it's a neat detail.
This design makes sense. Those are vents, literally. I thought it was really cool. And then it kind of looks like Megatron's winning the laser like duel, and a missile comes and like explodes in between them, stopping their laser duel. So we'll never know who had stronger lasers.
And then we get an action shot, a pretty sweet money shot of the other four Maximals.
Yeah, that's such good posing, such strong silhouettes. Oh man, fucking Rhinox has 2 gats now. They just fucking like 2 giant like guns with. Oh, so great.
We've seen him use 2 before, but
yeah, but just the way he's posing, because like he's like. Optimus is like on the ground, like taking a knee almost, or crouching. And so is Cheetor to his side and Rat Traps to the other side. Rhinox is over top him, behind him. It's a cool action pose. Should have lingered longer on it.
This is their action movie poster.
Yes, this is their Optimus's Angels movie poster. And Optimus is like, well, it appears my revenge must be postponed once again.
Yeah, I like how Megatron is immediately just like, well, time to go. Cheers, basically.
Fuck this shit, I'm out. Until we next meet. Max losers.
So he's running away and they're all shooting at him, and one of them actually hits him in the torso.
Oh yeah, he like jumps off a ledge or something, and they're shooting the fuck out of him. There's a shot when it like, this is such a 90s thing, where it zooms in on Rhinox shooting his like gat cannons, and he's like, oh,
this is even, that predates the 90s. Like
just yelling when you shoot. Yeah, that's fair.
I honestly, I think that actually comes from Rambo 2.
I was going to say, I think that comes from a Sylvester Stallone movie.
Yeah, I think it was specifically Rambo First Blood Part 2.
It has to be a Rambo movie.
Fun fact, in
yelling when you shoot guns, by the way, actually really fun.
In Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater, there's this one I don't know anything about guns, but it's this one like really like heavy, like high caliber machine, like high caliber, like large magazine machine gun. If you press and hold the fire button for long enough, like the firing rate will gradually increase, and Naked Snake will actually do the whole like
yeah, the Russian RPD. Maybe, it's like a huge round clip, like a circular clip.
Yeah.
I think that's the RPD. But if you hold it down long enough, he'll actually start yelling.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish I used that gun more. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like Cold War time, right? Or is it before that? No, it's Cold War, right?
Cold War, yeah. It's
I think then
60s.
I think they still would have been using the RPD, which had like a big circular like clip.
I think in MGS4 as well, there's another gun where Solid Snake will do the same thing.
Oh man. I feel like I missed out on like a little. Man, I'm gonna, after this, damn it, one day we will go a single episode of the podcast without mentioning Metal Gear Solid. The funny thing is we mention it just a little bit, just enough. It's not like we go on huge rants about it, but it makes me just wonder if we should just have an entire episode or an entire mini series where we just talk about Metal Gear Solid.
Oh,
maybe.
I'll probably cut this out, but for our like millennial podcast, one of the concepts that I had for like a topic was the influence that the original Metal Gear Solid on PlayStation had on video game storytelling.
I don't know how much of an influence it had on video game storytelling as a whole, but I know for me that was like, for me and my cousins, I was like, whoa, like we didn't know video games could do this. Like this is wild. Like what an amazing like story.
That game truly brought cinematic storytelling to the video game medium, and it, as far as I know, was the first to do so, at least on that level.
I can't think of anything else. Maybe some RPGs could have gotten like really, really deep. Yeah. There's lots of like RPGs, like JRPGs that have gotten like pretty deep. Like you could argue Final Fantasy games.
But
very large in scope.
They are, but still, like those games tended to be
fantasy
walls of text. The storytelling.
See what you mean, like visual storytelling.
Yeah, cinematic storytelling.
Yeah, cinematic. Okay, yeah, fair enough. It definitely made you. It definitely set a precedent for like video games can be better than movies. In my opinion. Oh.
But yeah, anyway. Metal Gear Solid, very cinematic game. One of the first.
One of the first. And yeah, so let's finish up with our favorite show here.
Our favorite beasts and bots.
Beasts and bots. So it kind of like shows Megatron getting chased away. You're right. He gets shot once. And we cut back to the inside of the Axelon. And all of the Maximals are coming in, and it shows Cheetor already in the base with Dinobot. So presumably that little platform, because the Maximals are big robots, right? It can only bring so many people up at once. And I thought that was actually really interesting, that they all just didn't come up in like one go. That also proves that there's only one elevator, despite that one time when there were two, but we don't talk about that. So yeah, as the others are coming up, like Optimus, Rhinox, and Rat Trap, he's mid-conversation with Rat Trap is mid-conversation with Optimus, and he's like, "Hey, Big Bot, don't tell me you're buying this clone stuff."
Yeah, and Optimus is all like, "You heard Megatron admit it," and Rat Trap's basically just like, well, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Then where's the clone if he even was real? And Dinobot's like, well, he's gone for good.
It's a shame, really, because he was quite a handsome fellow.
Oh yeah,
and
quite delicious,
quite tasty. And then like,
oh yeah,
like picks some like gunk out of his teeth and like,
yeah,
it like flies into Optimus's face.
And he has a disgusted look. Like,
and indeed, he says,
open.
"You're disgusting."
Yeah, Optimus is like, "You're disgusting." Oh, I forgot. He like belches too.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, my partner was like, "Ugh, disgusting." And then like 2 seconds later, Optimus was like, "You're disgusting." And then everybody has a jovial laugh.
Actually, no, the episode just ends after that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it just kind of cuts out.
Yeah, just kind of ends.
I'm so used to every episode with the Maximals laughing.
Right? It ends in that very like 90s like sitcom kind of way.
Yeah, and okay, so all right, so it ends. Okay, so quick problem before we go to the post-episode rant.
Yep.
He beat him off camera, which I don't like.
Apparently.
we don't know how he beat him, but he got back up off the ground, got the drop on him, killed him, completely devoured him, like every single part to the point he left no body, and then went down and fought Megatron on a full stomach.
Maybe when the camera wasn't watching, Dinobot was finally just like, fuck it, transformed and eye lasered him.
We can only hope. But
barbecuing him in the process, so he was just like, well, why not? And then just decided to eat him.
Yeah, I guess.
Barbecued Velociraptor.
Yeah, or ate him raw. I don't know, but I'm with Optimus. He's like, ugh, disgusting. You're disgusting.
Yeah, so Dinobot's straight up a cannibal here.
I like their reactions. Rhinox, Rat Trap, and Optimus all look at each other like a little bit perturbed, and Cheetor smiles and gives
a thumbs up. I'm like, okay, Cheetor. Yeah, like, cannibalism.
He's like, fuck yeah. Well, is it cannibalism? He couldn't transform into a robot, so it's just them eating like a robotic animal.
Well, the clone isn't even a robot, though.
Oh, you don't think it's a robot at all?
No, not at all. No, I think it's just a cloned Velociraptor with a enhanced brain.
Huh. Well, that explains how he was able to eat them.
Well, and that's why and also like that's why it didn't have any kind of maximal energy signature.
Huh. I just presumed because it was a Predacon clone that, well, yeah, I get.
But yeah,
I don't know.
Purely organic.
You're right.
Clone,
yeah,
couldn't transform, couldn't radio at all.
Couldn't radio. Wait, yeah, he did. He radios and he goes.
Well, he radios
Clone 1 to Megatron.
He radios from the Axelon, though.
Oh, so presumably he's using the Axelon's communication.
Yeah.
Oh. Huh. Never thought about that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Either way, we'll never know. But like, this is just this is my take on it, anyway.
So, what is your stars out of 10 for Double Dinobot?
I'm not going to give it a star rating. I will say this was very much a C tier episode. It was fun. I enjoyed it for what it was, but it was very much a C tier episode, and it is the epitome of a filler episode.
It's the epitome of 90s filler.
Like
there's so much 90s shit in it. The Dragon Ball Z energy duel. Energy blast duel, the mirror on the wall.
Yeah, this episode added nothing at all to the show. Nothing at all.
That explains why I don't remember it.
Also, Megatron's plan was stupid, top to bottom.
As always. I like how very early on, Scorponok says to him, well, why clone, why even make a clone of Dinobot in particular?
Which is what I was wondering.
Right? And so I'm like, wait a second. Is Scorponok actually smarter than we give him credit for? Yeah. And he's like, you idiot. It's so that he can go onto the base and deactivate Sentinel or deactivate the Maximal defense system for us.
Yeah, so just clone Optimus then.
Right? Or is that harder to do? Okay, so presumably they have his DNA because they got in a fight there was a chunk of Dinobot that flew off during a fight.
Maybe.
Maybe?
So
I'm like, well, one, how did they get Dinobot's DNA? Unless they have Dinobot's DNA like in storage because he's originally a Predacon. But then how could you have made a dinosaur, like a raptor, because he took his raptor form after they landed.
Yeah.
So
well, it could have been it's still in the computer, stored in the computer, this like DNA sequencer.
Because they scanned for DNA signatures.
Yeah, for when they initially took on their beast forms, which he would have done on the Predacon ship. Yeah.
Right. But why did it like have his personality and like his voice? Well, personality light.
Yeah, why did it kind of have his personality?
Yeah, and sound just like him.
I don't know.
I understand it's a clone, but it's like a clone of his Velociraptor form. I don't know. Like you and I had said, why not make a clone of like 10 clones of Scorponok?
Yeah, at least for like the sake of strength in numbers, like make 100 clones of Scorponok.
Or maybe let's say it takes like many cycles to make. Maybe they just had enough resources to make one. I remember when Tarantulas had that like floating orb that shot a laser that made it so that you couldn't transform.
Yep.
And we were like, so this is a game changer. We're probably going to see this like every episode going forward, right?
Right.
And then the Maximals will probably like reverse engineer it and do something similar, right?
Right.
And like this changes the entire game, right?
Except we've never seen it again, and I'm getting the impression we never will.
I am getting that impression as well. I have a feeling it was a one and done. And I have a feeling the clone is a one and done.
Yeah, I was gonna say same with this game-changing clone technology.
And I might be wrong. I haven't seen all the episodes. When I was younger, I never watched them all. But I'm presuming Scorponok Cyber Bee is one and done. I guess we'll find out.
We will find out. I know the answer to that, but I'm not saying.
I'm not going to tell you. It's cool. It'd be cool if it could like go on like reconnaissance missions. You know what I mean? Like it came back to him.
Mm-hmm.
It's shown that
it would be cool if Scorponok's Cyber Bee potentially shows up again and potentially does that exact thing.
I could be nailing nailing exactly what happens and I'd have no idea. It was like the time I was like, Rhinobot is Rhinox's Predacon name.
Yeah.
And you were like, ho, spoilers. I was like, wait, what? Wait a second. You saying spoilers was the spoiler.
Well, these questions will actually be answered in not too many episodes in the future, so stay tuned.
Woohoo.
Speaking of episodes, we will be back next week with the 15th episode in both production and US broadcast order, The Spark, which is a Spark. Yes, it is a important episode, so stay tuned for that.
Oh, it is?
Oh, yes.
It has Lady Arachnia on the thumbnail, who didn't even show up this episode.
Wacky.
Maybe she was up to something.
Be sure to check out our new website that I set up. Go to WWE, Jesus Christ.
WWE!
WWE Beast Wars! No, go to www.toomuchenergon.ca. It's a pretty crappy looking website because I have no skills, but you can listen to every episode there. You can also find social media links for our Facebook page, contact info, toomuchenergon@outlook.com.
Toomuchenergon.ca is actually a really good a good name. I'm glad someone else hasn't thought of something similar.
Yes, and you came up with it, so props to you.
Hooray! So Christopher said that it was crummy. I think it feels like it was made in like GeoCities or like the mid to like late 90s. It feels very much like somebody making our show if we had made it in like 96. Like I actually really like it. You might think it's crummy, but I think it's really cool.
It's kind of appropriate given the era that this show hails from.
Yeah. And it's cool. So like if they can't go anywhere else to listen to us, they can at least go to the website.
Yep.
So if your Spotify expires, you can just go to the website.
Yeah. Go to toomuchenergon.ca. You can also listen to this on Apple Podcasts. If you're doing that, please leave us a 5-star rating and write a review. Helps us out with discoverability. You can also find us on Spotify, as Cal mentioned. We're also on Google Podcasts and a whole bunch of other services that I've never heard of. We also have another show called Alphanumeric, a reboot podcast. It's a show just like this, but we talk about reboot. Cal, did you have anything else you wanted to add to the end of this?
Well, I found a small story about let's see here. 2 volcanologists actually floating on like rocks on a small lava flow. So technically something like what Rat Trap did could technically be possible? Yeah, sure. Yeah. Galaxy brain moment.
So that has been episode 14 of Too Much Energon. We'll catch you next week. And until then, beast mode.
Beast mode.
Beast mode!